Hello and welcome to Mickeyology, where we take Disney movies a little too seriously in an ongoing effort to trace them to their most likely historical settings. I'm Austin Wrathall, history teacher and lifelong Disney devotee, and I've covered several Disney movies here on this channel. Here's a timeline of the movies we've covered so far. Today we're adding another classic animated film to this timeline. And unlike most Disney stories, which are either original stories or fairy tales, this story comes directly from American history. We're talking about Disney's Pocahontas. If you search the internet for the most historically inaccurate movies ever made, you'll find this movie on almost every list. Pocahontas is notorious for its inaccuracy, which is probably for the best. It's good for kids to learn early that they can't count on the movie version of history to be completely accurate. However, I would like to point out that this movie does use the right characters, places, and a few of the right events from real history. I'd also like to point out that this isn't Disney's most inaccurate film. There's another Disney animated movie that deserves to be on all those lists, right alongside Pocahontas. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's examine the clues and see when and where Disney's Pocahontas takes place. Clue number 1, songs. Even viewers who aren't already familiar with the real Pocahontas story can easily determine when and where the film takes place because it opens with a song called The Virginia Company that announces that our story takes place in 1607. We see the sailors of the Virginia Company embarking on a voyage to the New World. We know exactly where in America they land because we see them name the place in the film.
I hereby claim this land and all its riches in the name of His Majesty King James I, and do so name this settlement Jamestown.
Bravo! Bravo! Beautifully spoken, sir.
Then we get the song Mine, 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 in which Ratcliffe says,
Dig up Virginia, boys.
All this clearly tells us that the film takes place in Jamestown, Virginia in 1607, the same place the Virginia Company crew landed in real life. Clue number 2, characters. Pocahontas features numerous historical figures as characters. Not only was Pocahontas a real person, but so was John Smith, Governor Ratcliffe, Chief Powhatan, whose real name was Wahansanaka, and Kocoum. There were also several Jamestown colonists named Thomas. Disney also added plenty of characters of their own, like Percy the dog, Meeko the raccoon, Flit the hummingbird, and Grandmother Willow the, Ent? Disney filmmakers changed Pocahontas' age for the film, though, so she and John Smith could have a star-crossed romance. The real Pocahontas never had a romance with Smith since she was about 11 when the English arrived in her land. Disney also glossed over the fact that Pocahontas was her nickname. Her friends and relatives would probably have called her Matoaka. Public service announcement. As you can see, Pocahontas is a very inaccurate retelling of history, and it deserves its place in internet infamy. It invents a romance that never existed, adds characters that never existed, and there's even a strong possibility that the historical sources the movie's based on aren't all that accurate in the first place. But if we're going to rag on Pocahontas' inaccuracies, I think it's only fair to point out that it is not Disney's most historically inaccurate movie. That honor probably belongs to Mulan. The villains of Mulan, the Huns, lived in the 5th century AD, but Mulan's costumes are based on clothing from the 8th century, and she fights the Huns using cannons from the 13th century, and she finally defeats them in a city that wasn't built until the 15th century. Just to put that in perspective, imagine if the filmmakers for Pocahontas drew the Englishmen as medieval knights, had them battle the natives using AK-47s, and had Pocahontas rescue John Smith from the Statue of Liberty. That version of Pocahontas would be more historically accurate to American history than Mulan is to Chinese history. For more information on that, you can watch my When and Where video on Mulan. So, by all means, Internet, let's continue to talk about how wrong Pocahontas gets its history, but let's not single it out unfairly. That's all I'm saying. Conclusion. Based on the movie's songs and characters and numerous other clues, Pocahontas must take place in Jamestown, Virginia in 1607. So there you have it. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of this video and what Disney movies you would like me to analyze next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.